Hey y'all, what's going on? This is Ginger.
And I'm Mist, and welcome to the Dino Bar. We're going to segue real quick into our backgrounds so those of you can get to know of us. Um, we have about 300 plus hours in the Isle. Path of Titans around 500 plus hours. Ginger has background playing Saurian and Beast of Bermuda a little bit each. We've ran large groups of people and have heard a lot of different opinions about almost everything in a dinosaur game there is to discuss. We both have had previous YouTube channels, and we both have been gamers since childhood back on the Nintendo 64 and the Wii. So that's a little bit about us.
Yeah.
Ginger, would you want to talk about the future of the channel?
Yeah, so what our plans are for the future, uh, we're pretty much going to be, covering podcasts, specifically Path of Titans because it's kind of a up and coming newer dinosaur game, whereas the Isle has a lot of years behind it. So, there's a lot of people covering that one as well. But we will
Yeah.
cover Isle content too. We'll be doing Let's Plays branded as Drunk Dinosaurs. So, for example, we're going to make some videos with acros, and it'll be Drunk Acro. It's going to be the title of the playlist. We're going to have Barroom Brawls, which is pretty much we're just going to go in and fight everything we see and cause as much trouble as we can, in either the Isle of Rima Legacy or Path Titans.
We're good at mischief.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, between, all the 3,000 hours of us playing the Isle, we've gotten fairly good at combat. We used to, Mist and I used to be uh, owners of a group, and we had about 120 people in the group at our peak. So we was pretty huge.
Yeah. We were
We,
playing daily during COVID.
oh, yeah. So, yeah, I was working night shift at the time, so we'd stay up, from midnight until sunrise the next day, growing something just for it to die in 2 seconds, fighting another clan or something. So, yeah, that was always fun. The good old days. And now, we've been playing Path of Titans a lot more, and now that Avrima's released the Terra and the Dino,
There's a
we've
lot
been
to
playing
talk
that a
about.
lot as well.
Yeah.
So, we can go ahead and start talking about Path of Titans, which is the meat of our bar talk today.
Yep. Uh, So Path of Titans is a dinosaur survival game, and it's a little bit different than some of the other dinosaur survival games like it. Um, it has quests. It's still kind of new, so there's not a whole lot there, but it's got a lot of room for growth. There's varieties in diet. There's the graphics are amazing. Um, it's fun. It's a lot of fun. We're gonna go over some of the updates that we've had. Me and Ginger started Path of Titan around the time when Metri and Sarco was released in game.
Yeah, so looking at the end of November, somewhere around there.
Yeah. Looking at the dev blogs. Yeah. So when Metri and Sarco released, uh, things were it was exciting. There was even though there wasn't a huge roster of dinos, there was more at the time than Evrima has.
Yeah, yeah. So the game was very balanced. I thought there was just a couple dinosaurs that needed some tweaking. Suko in particular was horrid. You could kill a
Yeah.
Suko with pretty much anything else in the game.
And
Um,
Spino was pretty weak too. You could
Spino
kill
was
Spino pretty fast.
yeah. So that has those two dinosaurs in particular have been fixed since then. But the
Yes.
Metri, when it was put in, it was a great addition to the roster because they added a new venom mechanic, which drains stamina after you bite.
Hmm.
So that was definitely an interesting thing. A lot of people played Metri, and a lot of people still play Metri because it's probably the strongest mid tier at the moment. Definitely the
Yeah,
strongest.
it's great for strategy. It
Yeah, it
it adds
is.
it has that extra element where you're not just running around biting things. You have to think about what you're doing. When should you use the stam venom mechanic, and when should you be just attacking?
Yeah, with your claws. So the claws do more bleed. Um, the bite, you get the stamina drain with that. So there's definitely pros and cons to each. So if you're fighting
Um,
something smaller and faster, you definitely want to use the stamina drain.
Shortly after they were released, the Alberta Ceratops, and that um that was a good addition. They had a special charge ability. Um, they were just tanky enough to hold their own. It was good.
Yeah, they were a little bit slower and tankier than Styraco.
Yeah,
They did
they
good
did less
bleed.
bleed.
Um,
They did less, but yeah.
yeah, they did good. The animation I thought was a little bit weird with its running. It's
Yeah,
more of
the
like
charge.
it's more like a fast, like,
Sassy
trot.
trot.
Yeah, it doesn't look like an actual run like Styraco was. Now, the charge since then has been fixed. The regular run animation is the same, but the charge is actually it, full on running at something,
Yeah,
which,
the most
they did a
recent
great
update
job with
as
it.
of yeah, the
Yeah.
most recent update as of this video.
Yep.
Um, After Alberta Ceratops was the Alioramus, which was a lot of people's favorite, including mine for a long time.
Yep. Yep. Same.
Uh, they were fast. They had decent bleed. They did decent damage. They were fun. You could hunt in packs and take down most anything like a dinosaur their size. They're kind of big. They play kind of like a subrex on the Isle.
Yeah. 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 That'd be like the closest thing to compare it to, except faster. But,
Yeah, they're lighter. They're
yeah.
not as muscly.
Yeah. They aren't OP though, which was good. They came out of the box pretty balanced.
Oh yeah,
Um,
they were great.
Yeah, because
Uh,
1v1 a Metri would kill a Alio because of that stam drain and the
yeah,
maneuverability too.
and Metri did more bleed.
Yep. Yeah.
Iguanodon released after the Alioramus, and Iguanodons have always been fun. But this is before the stat change.
Yeah. That.
Iguanodon was pretty balanced when it first came out. The only issue it had was that it healed really slow, and everyone has complained about the stamina, but it didn't really bother me that much because they were pretty tanky.
Yep. Yeah, I thought they were fine when they came out. And
Yeah,
for the people who complained about them healing slow, they have never healed a acro on the Isle, so they have no room to complain. Because I was acro main back when we used to play a lot, and everybody was like, "Yeah, Ginger's still healing from yesterday." Uh,
how many hours does it take to heal an acro when you're pretty beat up?
Yeah, from fourth screen, almost dead, you might as well grow an entire new acro
Yeah,
because it's about the
your whole
same
day
time.
healing.
Yep.
Um, After Iguanodon, there was some website updates. I forgot to mention that in between Alio and Alberta Ceratops, there was grouping improvements and skin shedding, which didn't change gameplay a whole lot, but they were minor
Yeah.
little additions.
Yeah, so what it was with that 46 that they introduced, so you could always pick different subspecies, but now at update 46, or devlog 46 rather, your subspecies would have an effect on your actual either your speed or your health or your stamina. If you're a smaller, faster thing like Stroophy, you can pick between speed and stamina. So you can go opt for speed and then take a health hit, or you can opt for health and then take a speed hit.
Hmm.
So it did offer more customization as far as what you want out of a dinosaur.
Yeah, that made the subspecies make more sense rather than just being aesthetic choices.
Yeah.
Um, After Iguanodon, and there was a website update because they're mostly funded now. It went from being a donation type of thing to more of a purchase, uh, oriented website. The Stegosaurus was then released, and Stego was a little OP, but it was fun. I mean, it's a huge herbivore compared to the other ones in the game, so it made sense that they were pretty powerful.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was pretty all right, as far as balancing goes.
I
It's
think they
something
had a
that
lot of
large.
stam.
Okay, they did have too much stam. I will say that. They should have nerfed the stam a good bit. And,
Yeah. But they were fun. They made sense for how big they were.
yeah, so like a Stegosaurus in real life, if it swung its tail and it landed a headshot on a croc in real life, the croc would be done like in one hit.
Yeah.
There would be no like, oh, it took half of my health. I'm gonna complain. It'd be dead.
I think when Stegos first came out, though, was Sarco could trade hits with a Stego and win if they were evenly matched.
I don't remember, to be honest with you. I just know now,
I
since the
remember
stat
hunting
change.
Stegos.
Yeah. There were a lot more Stegos back then, though, before the stat change.
Yeah, there were.
Yeah, we'll be talking about that stat update here shortly.
There was a devlog that introduced the new spawning system. Stat balances were changed. They added survival quests. They changed how underwater looks. And yeah, that changed a lot of how the game plays.
Yeah, this
A lot.
devlog 47, that's where a lot of the problems started happening.
Yeah.
In prior to February, everything was pretty good. There just needed some minor tweaks. Devlog 47, that update changed everything. I don't
Yeah.
think there might have been like one or two dinosaurs that weren't touched in it, but all of the rest have been had their statistics messed with.
And then there were food and water updates after that. New dino diets, some water quality things were changed. They added fall damage, which was needed. And
Yeah.
that leads us to the most recent update, which is adding 2 new attacks for 2 new dinosaurs, matchmaking, and water replenish quests.
Yeah. Yeah, so that 49, they added they updated the Alberta charge. So it looks better now. They added a
Mm-hmm.
kick for the Straco and a kick for the Struthy, which was a needed thing, I think, for the Struthy. The kick for the Straco is nice too, and then the charge, instead of it taking a whole minute to replenish the charge, it's like 2 seconds. You have to wait after you finish charging on a full charge. If you stop then, it's, longer. It's based on a 10-second timer, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
instead of a 1-minute timer.
Yeah, prior to that, you had to wait quite a bit before you could use it again.
Yeah.
Which in a pinch was a problem.
Yep.
So, I mean, most of the updates have been good for the game, but recent these bundled up updates have made things a bit complicated. We're going to talk about the current state of the game. So we wanted to invite some friends recently to play the game, and keeping them interested has been hard because unlike when we first joined the game and things were pretty straightforward with, you have food and water, that those drained less quickly than they do now. Now when you enter, your first goal is pretty much to hurry up and find food and water. And the way that all of that and even the matchmaking, I should go into matchmaking first, because when you first go into the game, you're thrown into matchmaking. You can't pick your own server now. So people are complaining about not being able to get into very well populated servers. So you might as well be playing by yourself with a friend.
Yep.
And this is an MMO, so people don't want to play this game that way. Yeah, so matchmaking, ugh.
It hadn't
I
been
would
a
prefer, yeah, I would prefer picking my own server and making sure that I have a populated server. It seems right now matchmaking prioritizes ping over whether or not the server is well populated.
Mhm. Yeah.
And when they first were testing matchmaking, they didn't allow the ability for you to even like join the same server as a friend.
Yeah, so what would happen is, me and Myst went to go play on it one evening after they implemented matchmaking, and, we clicked it, and we would go into different servers every time. There was no option to click join a friend.
Yeah.
And we did this, like 6 times or something, and we never did get in the same server. Um,
Yeah.
so shortly after that, we wrote some suggestions, and, a lot of other people were complaining too. And, was it the day after, they
Then they implemented being
implemented
able
the
to
friend
join.
button, so I'm not sure exactly if they just forgot to put it in or
I don't
like
know.
But
Because
anyway,
it was in the dev blog, but it
yeah,
wasn't implemented yet.
yeah. But now
And
they have it implemented, and
yeah, it's
it
there now.
it it does make it better, make it easier to play. But
But then the
honestly,
spawning system.
the bigger issue for me, as far as playing with friends, is the absolutely atrocious spawning system that they have. Okay,
You
Path
will
of Titans.
spawn.
I don't know who of you thought this was a good idea, but don't. It's not good. Just leave it random, and I
Or
understand that
even yeah, go
you're
ahead.
gonna like put people in places where the water quality is gonna be good, and that'll make it easier to survive. But nobody's playing this game to survive. Is People are playing this game to either meet up with friends or to kill people alone. Those are the only two reasons people play this game, and it's just like the Isle in the same sense.
Yeah, like trying I know they're trying to not be like the Isle, they're trying to be their own game, but they have enough features that separates them apart. This is
Yeah,
at its core a dinosaur survival game. And while food and water is an aspect of that, they're making it the priority. And people don't want to play just looking for food and water. They want to interact with other players.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
That's
so the
true.
matchmaking, right? Not matchmaking. The spawn system right now, when you go into the game, chances are, if you're in well, even like a halfway populated server, the spawning system will throw you to the very edges and very corners of the map because most of the people are closer to the center. And
Hmm.
you're in the middle, like very, very edge, in the middle of nowhere. Like we're this is not home anymore, Toto. Where are we? So uh you have to walk about 20 minutes just to get to where other players are.
Yeah,
And for a game that people want to interact with other players in and their goal is going to be finding other players, that's a problem. Like you don't want to hop into a game and immediately, take 20 minutes just to meet up with friends. And I mean this like it's not just other players to go hunt them. It's your friends too. You will spawn apart from each other. And when you try to kill yourself, it turns into this vicious cycle of suicide simulator where you're jumping off cliffs repeatedly and spawning in the
yep,
same area, sometimes 4 to 5 times in a row,
yep, yeah.
and killing yourself.
You'll have a pile of your own bodies, that you've been landing on,
That's a problem.
and
Like no one wants to play like that. I think they had good intentions with the spawning system. They don't want everyone piling up in one area. So they're spawning you away from other people, so it takes you time to get to other people. And it's supposed to slow down revenge killing and stuff like that too, where people just spawn back in and they'll kill themselves to get back to where they were and immediately go over and kill that person that just killed them because they're salty.
yeah,
I get
yeah,
that. But I think that maybe not having spawning areas so far to the edges of the map would solve some of that. Maybe still spawning you closer into the map, not directly on hotspots maybe, but just not at the very edge of the map. Because no one wants to start there and have a 20-minute walk just to play the game.
yep, yeah. It's not a fun time,
It's not.
and
Um,
especially, and maybe that might not be as bad when they're juveniles because walking across the map will give you growing time. Um, well, and actually,
yeah.
really, the growth is going to be based on quests, right? Yeah, and the amount of quests
Yeah.
you do.
Yeah.
And even then, that becomes obsolete.
Yeah. So there's no reason to spawn at the very edge of the map. No one
No,
wants to game that way.
no,
And that leads us to another issue. When you are at the edge of the map, you have water available to you, but as you get closer to where areas are populated, the water system has a depletion mechanic where the more dinosaurs drink water, it becomes dirty, quote unquote, and it's undrinkable. It gets polluted.
yeah,
Um, but it happens so fast that just a few dinosaurs drinking from a medium-sized water source can deplete it very quickly. So
yeah,
as you're getting closer to populated areas, it's getting harder and harder to find water, and you can actually die of thirst before you find somebody. And this is a big map. So your chances of finding anyone without dying first is slim.
yep. Yeah.
especially if you're a slower dinosaur, like the Spinosaurus and the Sarcosuchus.
Hmm. Yeah, they're not
You
made
are
to travel.
No, you are constantly traveling water sources because they themselves drink up a good amount of water. These are big dinosaurs. They drink a lot and it depletes too fast. And you're constantly hopping water sources, trying to find food and water. You're too slow to catch anything.
Yeah.
So you're trying to rely on fish, but the new water effects that they added in one of the recent updates makes the water a lot more cloudy. So you can't really see the fish anymore to hunt them. And even if you do, you get to water sources that sometimes don't even have fish, and you're dying of hunger and thirst at the same time, and you're walking
Yeah.
slow. And
Hmm.
your chances of dying are very high before you
Yeah.
even interact with anybody and really get to play the game.
Yeah. So, and then the Sarco in particular, it's made to be in the water most of the time, and it's made to do hunting from the water. So
Oh,
if it
that's
has
true.
to travel on the land to another water source, it makes itself incredibly vulnerable to, anything in the
Yeah,
game.
anything can get on its rear, and kill it.
Yeah.
Especially now that it was nerfed
Yeah, the
with the
stam
stats
nerf,
update.
the stam nerf I feel was needed, but the damage nerf was not. They should put the
No.
damage back to where it was.
Yes.
I mean, that's a big set of teeth that is gonna
Yeah,
wrap around a
it
dinosaur. It's
most dinosaurs, even if they're really small, like Campto, if you can bite them one time and they still can run away.
Yeah. Yeah, the
So
Sarco should one-shot a Campto. A Sarco should one-shot a Galley, or not a
yeah,
Galley, a Struthy.
they cannot chase their food.
No.
So your chances of actually being able to hunt players as a Sarco now is a lot lower than it was, unless they stand there and actually like want combat with you and they stay
Mhm.
engaged after you
Yeah.
you ambush them.
Yeah, they have to wanna fight for you to kill them.
Yeah. And, if you're just trying to survive, what are the chances of you finding anyone, let alone finding someone that wants to stand there and fight you rather than just go on about their day and live
Yep.
another day?
Yep. Yep.
Um, and that brings us to finding food. So currently there is no AI, but it is a feature that they want to implement later. Um, there are carcasses scattered around each. I think they describe it as like blocks or sections of the map, but there's currently no scent system or tracking system or way for you to really find food other than looking for it.
Yep, there's no yeah.
And
You
that's as
have
a
to use the
carnivore.
map on, Volnona. You have to
Yeah.
use that to find it. Otherwise you'd starve if you're in an unpopulated place.
Yeah, you have to go out of game to a fan-made map to find resources for like food.
Yeah.
And this is for herbivores too, because it's even harder for herbivores, I think, because at least with the carcasses, you can hear the flies when you get relatively close.
Mhm.
With the plants that most of the herbivores eat, they look a lot like the other plants. They just have little red berries on them. And you're trying to find these bushes. And even if you know the general area where they're at, if you're low on food, you could starve to death before you remember the exact location and how, like, if they're discerned from this bush or that bush.
Yeah. And a lot of people, some people have an easy time telling them apart. Some people have a hard time telling them apart because there were people like that in the aisle where the food bushes were considerably different from any other bush in the game. People still had a hard time telling them apart.
Yeah.
So, it's just
Some
a
people have color blindness and stuff that makes it difficult too. And I know they have plans to implement things to make it easier for people with color blindness, but right now it's I feel like they needed another way to better find food and resources,
yeah,
like clean drinking water, and it's yeah.
yeah, a
Because
scent system would fix this issue entirely.
and I feel like
Because
they're hesitant to release a scent system because they feel like that's one more thing that would make them like the Isle. But I feel like the Isle, like you said the other day, Ginger, hasn't copyrighted a scent system. It's not exclusive to the Isle.
no, it's just a part of nature. Everything can smell food and everything can smell water. We can't smell water, obviously, but animals can.
I can smell water.
Okay.
But
Uh-huh.
but yeah, I feel like it would be extremely helpful to have a scent system to find food.
And
Later, it's going to be harder when, there's AI and those AI are moving around. I don't understand how it's going to be easier when AI is implemented to find food for carnivores. Unless that AI is stationary, because right now, render distance is really low, even if you have your settings on high, and you can't even hear things roaring from very far away. So if things are calling, you're going to have to be pretty close to even hear them. It's going to be
yeah,
no different really than looking for a carcass, except now that carcass is going to be mobile.
yeah.
It's not
So
going to be in
that's
that set spot.
yeah, that's something I haven't even thought about too, because you can be within viewing distance, which isn't very far to begin with, of dinosaurs in this game. I don't know what the deal with it is, and I think they have to have it kind of low so that way people on mobile can play it and not their phones not have an aneurysm.
Yeah.
Um,
So this is crossplay. This game is.
yeah. So yeah, if you're within viewing distance of something, you should be able to hear it, but you have to be really close to something for you to even hear a broadcast, which is a one call.
Yeah. Yeah, you do.
Yeah, so I want to be able to hear one call from across the big lake in the middle of the map.
Yeah,
Like,
because that makes sense.
yeah, but yeah,
Um,
it would be incredibly hard to find AI without
yeah,
without either, being able to hear it or without being able to smell it.
I agree. Yeah. Not you might as well be
You
deaf
would have
and
to.
have no sense of smell.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
things don't render in until you're fairly close too,
Yep.
even to be seen. Like
Mhm.
I can look across Great Lake, which is the biggest lake on the map, with the render distance, but for some reason dinosaurs don't spawn in on your render distance until they're much, much closer.
Yep.
Like in the aisle, I can see things very far away.
Mhm.
But sometimes if I'm across a medium-sized lake, and not even Great Lake, a medium-sized lake, and I
So
look across,
Grassland Lake,
yeah,
for example, you can't see across that. You can't see
no,
something across that, and that's a littler one.
yeah, you can see something on the island if you're immediately like
Yeah.
on the beach looking at the island. You can see things because there's a little midsection there that comes further in, but you cannot see across the wider parts of the water.
Mhm.
Um, yeah. Players, the spawning system, we went over that. Stats, we've touched on that. Did you want to elaborate more?
Yeah, so we're gonna be going over every dinosaur in the game and how we feel about each individual dinosaur stats. There are 3 balanced dinosaurs in the game, as far as we're concerned. That
Yeah,
is Spino, with the most recent update, to the Spino stats, they fixed its health, and they fixed, I think the tail does a lot more damage than what it
yeah,
used
they
to.
got a big buff
Yeah.
for their size, which makes sense.
Suko also got buffed, and it got a stamina buff, which was really the main issue with Suko was the stamina was horrid,
I agreed.
because they can't chase you down, and they're not terribly slow either. So,
No,
yeah. Latin is also, pretty good, I think. It's
for
not.
one of the smaller dinosaurs, it makes sense where its stats are.
Yeah. Now to the
Okay.
rest of the dinosaurs in the roster, which are unbalanced. So we're gonna start off with herbivores. The Stego needs a damage buff. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, it needs a damage buff. It should
It
be able
makes
to.
it makes no sense that one Metri, which is a mid-tier dinosaur, can take him down in like 4 or 5 hits. And
Yeah.
you can
So
hit a Metri as a Stego multiple times and not kill it.
yeah, yeah. A Stego with 2 shots should kill a Metri. As far as I'm concerned, a Stego, if it lands a body shot to a Metri, it should kill it in 1 hit. But nobody asked me. Um, Yeah, I've been killed by a lone Metri before as a Stego, and I'm not a bad player. I have like 2,000 plus hours in the Isle,
Yeah,
and
and it's not that they were a better player either. It's not like they were being evasive and they were being tactical. No, it's that
I
the
hit them
Stego's
several
attack
times.
doesn't do
It's
enough. Yeah, it doesn't
yeah,
do enough damage to kill it.
yeah,
They can get hit once, run away for a few seconds and heal up, and then come back and
yeah,
kill you very shortly in a very short amount of time.
yeah. And so I don't care about the bleed with Stego. To be honest, it needs to do more damage than it does
Yeah,
bleed.
agreed.
Um, Onto the Iggy, it needs a bleed nerf. I mean,
That thumb is meme worthy.
it
They have
is.
this this stabby thumb
Yeah,
that
they
has a
have.
claw on it.
Yeah,
And
they have an.
somehow this herbivore is the most invincible thing in the game.
Yeah, so this thing just aims for your major arteries every time, and you just bleed out. um, they have
Infinity
an.
Stone
Yeah,
phalange.
they've got that Infinity Stone on their thumb. So
And they just
Kentro used to be my favorite dinosaur in the game. Now it is. I don't play it anymore because it's so bad. It needs a bleed buff, so uh, it's like a porcupine.
it
And
just bleeds out like a balloon though.
yeah, so it needs to do more bleed. It needs passive damage, which I believe is confirmed. In the future they're gonna put passive damage in it. So it does have a. I don't know if they're called thagomizers.
I think they
Up
are.
its whole body. I know they are on the tail, but anyway, they have them coming out their shoulders as well. So passive damage for that would be nice. And Kentro needs to trade its stam with the Steg stam. So
Yeah.
Stegosaurus does not need as much stam
No,
as
it's huge. It should not be able to run
no,
forever.
no. And Kentro is, a lot smaller, a lot lighter. It should be able to run.
Significantly, yeah.
Um, Lambio, it's kind of in a weird place in the game. It's like the third wheel of the large herbivores.
It's tanky, it's got a lot of health, but its attack does nothing, so it's just a walking meat wagon.
Yeah, yeah. Its bite is obviously a bite isn't going to do a lot of damage. So we
Its
think a
tail does
stomp
decent
attack.
damage,
Yeah, yeah. A
but
stomp
yeah,
attack would fix the issue. I think.
I, I agree. As a really good stomp, like how the oh, what are they called?
Shan-
The really big,
yeah,
yeah,
Shan.
Shintongosaurus in
Yeah,
the Isle has.
yeah. So then we're on to the Ceratopsians, the Alberta and the Styraco. They
Yeah.
need,
So right now,
yeah, they need a health buff. Not a huge one. They're not terribly far off. Um,
yeah,
a little bit of a health buff, and then a little bit. They need to do more bleed, I think.
I
And because
agree. Yeah,
something getting gored, Alberta in particular, if it charges something, I think it should do a lot of bleed because you're getting
so
gored by something with huge horns.
yeah. I was playing the other day as Albertosaurus, and I got attacked by 3 Metries, and one was able to ride me, and we were trading shots. And when trading shots with a Metry, unless I was getting headshots, they were able to hit me like 4 times, and we both kind of died around the same time, but me because of bleed.
Hmm.
After like 4 shots, I died.
Yeah,
And being an armored, heavily weaponized dinosaur, like these things are tanks. They
yeah,
should not they should not die to a mid tier after 4 hits.
yeah.
And I
So
should
like,
be able to kill a mid tier faster than 4 hits, I feel
yeah.
like.
So you're gonna see that we talk about the Isle a lot. So that's because Legacy was halfway decent as far as balancing goes,
Yeah,
and not
that's where we
not
started.
including the non-survivals. That's where
Yeah.
we have our most hours. That's what we know, like the back of our hand. So Dibble, for example, there isn't a mid tier in the game that wants to fight a Dibble alone because the Dibble
No.
will absolutely demolish it.
And it
Um,
makes sense for the type of dinosaur it is.
yeah,
It's like a rhinoceros.
yeah,
You're not going to see one lion be able to take on a rhinoceros. That doesn't make any sense.
no, no. Okay, so on to the small guys, the Strufy and the Campto.
Ah!
They are
So
also memes.
Struthy's not as bad off as Campto, in my opinion. I do
No,
think it needs a nerf.
no. So like were we Metries or were we Alios? I think we were Alios.
I was an Alio by myself playing, and I killed. I died to a Campto. If that's what you're talking about. Are you talking
No, no.
about the Struthies?
Yeah, the Strufys.
Yeah, we
So
were both Alios.
So we were Alios and we were fighting 3 Struthies. That should be an absolutely easy kill.
Yeah.
But no, the Struthies actually handed my butt to me. And
And this is to clarify, like, by easy kill, we don't mean they should be easy to catch. They're meant to be fast and run away. These
yeah,
Struthies, we were fighting them. They were sticking around fighting. And
yeah,
we were hitting them multiple times as a significantly larger dinosaur. And they were able to kill us.
yeah.
after being hit multiple times. We're talking a very gangly, delicately built dinosaur.
Yeah. Yeah.
Being able to take multiple hits and kill us as
Mhm.
a significantly larger mid-tier dinosaur. Carnivore at that.
Yeah. Yeah, so
That's a problem.
yeah, there's no really excuse for that. And then the Campto needs a health nerf. So obviously it should be one-shotted by Spino, by Sarco, by any of the larger things.
Stego.
Stego, any large herbivore should be able to kill it with one hit.
It's like knee height to most dinosaurs. This thing's
Yeah.
really tiny. It's like a medium-sized dog.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no reason why it should be able to take a hit from any of
So
these
I was
dinosaurs.
playing as an Alio, and I was 1v1ing a Campto, and my tail attack, it was able to ride me because my tail attack was too high for the hitbox on the Campto, so most of my tail attacks were missing, and even after biting him, I want to say at least 5 times. Now there is locational damage, so like if you bite something's head versus its body versus its tail, you're going to get different damage amounts. So like the tail is going to do significantly less damage than the head. But I landed at least 5 bites on different sections of this thing's body, and it still was alive, and it killed me. Now it's a herbivore with a tiny, tiny mouth, and it's biting and doing little tail whips, and it killed me as an Alioramus. It's knee height to me. I'm a carnivore. It's a herbivore. That doesn't. Come on.
Yeah.
Like that's ridiculous.
Hmm.
It's over. It needs a health nerf. And some people have suggested a speed nerf, but I think I would be okay with its speed being able to run away as a herbivore if it just didn't hurt so much and couldn't kill significantly larger dinosaurs for short as a
Hmm.
herbivore. It makes no sense.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely needs yeah, I think the speed's fine myself and the stamina and all that. It's all good,
Mhm.
but it just needs
The
a
health
health dropped.
and
And the
damage
damage.
drop,
Yeah.
maybe. It shouldn't be able to kill someone
Yeah.
that fast.
Yeah.
Like if
Honestly,
you're
even if
laying down and not fighting back, that's one thing, but like
yeah. Yeah. So on to the carnivores now. Um Cerato is
I've been
pretty good.
neglected.
Yeah, it's pretty good aside from the main flaw, which is huge, which is the bleed resistance is horrid.
I don't know why in every game it has that issue. Like the Isle has that issue too. I don't know what's up with that.
I mean, scientists around the world are just like, yeah, Cerato has thin blood, and if it gets a paper cut, it's just gonna die.
Pretty much that's the consensus. I like Serato. They're one of the heftier mid-tier carnivores
Yeah, and
in
they do a lot of
Pathfinder.
damage. Yeah, they're
Yeah, but they're just not viable at all right now.
yeah,
And I feel like they should be more viable. Balance it out. Don't make it invincible, but just, fix the bleed.
yeah, and it can have lower bleed resistance than other dinosaurs, but how low it is now is way too low.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Uh,
Alio got a speed nerf for some stupid reason
And this is a
with the
leggy
last.
dinosaur. It looks like it's supposed to be pretty quick. And they reminded me of kind of like the wolves of Path of Titans. They're that type of carnivore, they're meant to run and chase down prey. Right now they're kind of slow and you can't really catch even a Metri hardly.
Yeah, yeah, they should be faster than they.
I
Although
agree.
I don't think they should be faster than a Struthy.
No.
I think the Struthy should get a speed increase. If it's gonna be faster than the Alio, but um, yeah. Other than that, I think it's pretty all right. It shouldn't
Yeah.
do the most bleed or the most damage.
Right.
Speed should
It's
be its
good for
main.
hunting power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Metri is way OP right now. It needs
Yeah.
so it needs one buff, and that's to the Venom. I think the Venom should have a larger effect than what it does. Not hugely, but like a little bit more.
You should
And
be
then
able to tag something and them not be able to run away from you and not have to stick around and keep tagging it.
yeah, yeah. So the Venom doesn't do a whole lot. You have to really ride something a long time for the Venom to stack up.
Yeah,
Um,
unless they didn't have a lot of stamina to begin with, but
True.
most things at
Yeah,
full stam can run for a good while. And
yeah,
in Metri's not tanky health-wise, so they should be able to go in and get out and not have to hang on and keep tagging them to
Yeah.
drain their
Mhm. Yeah.
the bleed is so high right now.
Yeah, the claw bleed is pretty high. It needs to
It
be like it needs one big, factor to it, not two. So the venom is gonna be a plus for it, and the bleed from the claws is gonna be a plus for it. And that
Mhm,
kind of makes for a OP dinosaur. Plus its health. He needs a health
mhm.
nerve. Like
Yeah,
being able to take several hits from a stego is not acceptable.
yeah.
And of course that may come down to the stego's damage being too low. And see,
Right.
they just need to change. They changed every dinosaur pretty much all at the same time when they should have done them one at a time to test and see how that fit
What
in with the
we're
gameplay.
Yeah, I agree.
You can't change all of these things. It's, science. It's this what is that method? It's
Balance.
been too long since I've but you got to test stuff out, one
Mhm,
thing at a time to know which variable fixes or causes the problem.
agreed.
Um
Especially when you're still adding things as you're going.
yeah. Yeah, so the conch is a poor thing that people still play for some reason.
It's in almost a sadder state than the Serato.
Yeah. So it's not good at anything. Metri's good at everything, conch is good at nothing.
They have a wide, varied diet, so they can survive on, like, more food items than, a lot of the other dinosaurs can, but it's so weak, and it can't run fast.
Yeah, so it would be nice if maybe it would get a um higher bleed and a higher bleed resistance, be like a bleed focused dinosaur. So
Yeah,
like among the mid tiers you have Cerato, which is damage. You could have Conch, which would be bleed. Venom would be for Metri, Speed would be for Alio. And
yeah,
you have all
that'd
these
be great.
specified dinosaurs.
Oh
Um
my god, that'd be great.
yeah. Yeah, so everybody can have a different playstyle, but Metri can just do everything. Conch can't do nothing. Alio
Serato
also
can't
Cerato's a
he
flower.
can't take a hit.
Yeah.
Um,
Um
Sarco. Uh, so when they updated the stats on the Sarco, they did increase the stamina in water and decreased stamina on land, which is good. But unfortunately, they also nerfed their health and their damage. I don't know why they nerfed their damage because they are ambush predators.
yeah, they should do a lot of damage because especially now with the low land stam, they can't
Yeah,
catch anything. They have to
they
kill it
cannot.
on the shore.
Yeah, they cannot chase prey.
No.
As it stands right now, like I said earlier, most things after you hit it one time has the choice to just run away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah,
It needs an ambush mechanic. Like I hate to make another comparison to the Isle, but like the Dino in the Isle, it needs one of those if it's going to have lower health. So that way it
maybe
can at least
implemented in a different way where there's a struggle, where the herbivore or prey animal, whatever got caught in its jaws, could struggle and fight back a little bit more than what the Isle has to differentiate them.
yeah.
But yeah, I agree. It right now animals can just run away after getting hit. There's no one-shotting anything even as small as a campto.
Yeah. And then Dino is obsolete at the moment because of Latin. Latin just overshines it in pretty much every aspect aside from
They're almost
speed.
same dinosaur. Like they're filling the same niche right now, except the dino is less, so it gets kind of thrown to the side. It's too small to hunt things without help, and it can't take any hits because its health is significantly like weaker than the Latin, so it's just obsolete.
Yeah.
The only thing it has going for it right now, I think it has the widest diet of all the dinosaurs in the game currently. But
Yeah.
I mean, what does that give you gameplay wise? Ooh, you can go play by yourself on
Yeah.
a
Yeah, you can
MMO.
actually manage to play by yourself and survive as this dinosaur.
Yeah, but who wants to play that way? No one wants to play this game that way. And you would play single player if you wanted to play
Yeah.
that way. It's a great single player dinosaur.
Yeah. But even then, without AI, um,
Yeah.
the game would be very uninteresting.
Yep. You're just munching on carcasses and running around, completing quests and getting skins. That's it.
Yeah. So a part of what every bar talk we're gonna do. We're gonna pick out like 3 suggestions from the Discord, and we're gonna discuss them and what we think about each thought process, and get some different opinions from people. So we're gonna go ahead and go through the general suggestion. We'll do 2 general suggestions and 1 stat suggestion because the stats um, is probably the largest factor in the game as far as gameplay goes. Um, so we'll go ahead and talk about the general one. So
Um,
we'll go ahead and let Miss picked out this one.
yeah. So this is by our alderman. And their complaint was that the new matchmaking sucks. I can't even create a dino without getting timed out. Also, still no PS4 controller support. I don't know why I paid extra for all the backer skins without doing further research on the game itself and development status. I should have just stayed on Evrima. And the reason why I picked this comment is because while I don't know much about PS4 controller support, um, I have similar sentiments when I pay extra for this game support, and it was balanced when I first started, and then these new stat updates and things happen, and the game is significantly less interesting to play. That's a little disheartening when people are leaving feedback after feedback for the same issues, and they're not working on those issues. They're adding other things like new attacks, and we're gonna focus on implementing AI soon and things like that, when the things that players are really concerned about aren't being addressed, and it's pushing players away. Here lately we've been playing more of Evrima when our opinions prior to those updates were that this game was better than the Isles Evrima.
Yeah. So we both paid for backer skins, and they need to get what they have fixed before they keep adding new systems. Otherwise, it's going to be harder for them to untangle all the problems. Because with every new system, there's going to be problems, and
Of
we
course.
understand that. But they need to take advice as well from the Discord.
Yeah, the feedback, section of the Discord, I feel like is kind of, I don't want to sound mean, but it feels like they kind of brush us off a little bit,
Yeah. So
the feedback that's left. And
yeah,
I understand they have their own like order of things that they want to implement and their own schedule. And I know it's hard to make a game. I know nothing about making a game. I get that. But I feel like players having, your suggestions are being flooded with the same complaints. I feel like those complaints should take priority over adding new,
yeah, absolutely.
when
I
it's the
lost what I
same
was.
complaint over and over.
Yeah, I lost what I was going to say. Well, that's fine. It'll come back to me after we finish recording.
Sorry.
Um. So anyway, on the next one, so I picked out one from a name that I can't pronounce because it's in Chinese or Korean or something, noodle language. So, but they say, my personal thoughts. I have to be honest, I haven't been playing this terribly long, but there are a few aspects of the game. People would affect, or I don't know anything about that, but so they go on to say, I usually play with 2 other people. Finding enough water for 3 dinos is somehow a chore because 1 dino by itself will somehow completely taint a lake, which is accurate. He doesn't understand that. This really feels like a punishment for anyone who wanted to play the game alongside friends, especially my poor friend who wanted to be a stego, but learned he was so slow he was going to die of thirst before ever reaching any lake at all. So, and that's another issue about the spawning system. If you're something large and slow, um, you know, it's hard to travel
Yeah.
because you've got to plan your routes and
And
stop
the
at
devs
water.
say,
And
well, we spawn you where there is water already. What's the problem? The problem is this is an MMO. People want to interact with other players. And I understand not wanting everyone congregated in one concentrated area and encouraging people to, scatter about the map a little bit, but I feel like some herding is normal and just not allowing it to be the entire map in one area. Make it where not the some people can congregate, but not the whole, player base in one spot.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think something that might fix the issue, or it would at least help it, would be to take away the giant lake out of the middle. And this would involve making a whole new map, I understand, but um, that people are going to congregate at that middle lake no matter what because it's in the center of the map. So no matter where you spawn, you're going to be about the same distance from it.
Mhm.
And two, it has a lot of water, a lot of resources, and a lot of players there. So just naturally, people are going to fluctuate to that lake.
Yep.
If you didn't have one giant lake in the center of the map, people may spread out a little bit more and find a certain pond that they like Grassland Lake, for example. That's a fairly
Mhm.
popular lake, and it's not huge. Um,
Yep. There's a lot of
uh,
food there, and there's collectible quest items there.
yeah. Um, he goes on to say, and frankly, I don't see why such a harsh update was needed. I understand people camping at one or two specific areas wasn't what the devs intended, but if we're going for realism here, there are a lot of dinosaurs which were pack and herd animals. They traveled together, and it's not uncommon for those animals to gather at a watering hole. You see this in Africa, carnivores and herbivores would drink out of the same water at the same time.
Hmm.
Um,
Yep, this is true.
let's see here. I always saw a lot of fun and action there. When one of the carnivores' food source was depleted, um, when it disappeared, people had to resort to either fighting each other to make a fresh corpse or running off to some other area. When I started the game, I explored the whole map, completed quests, but eventually those quests got boring, and I took to hanging out with my friends, hunting and being hunted. This doesn't seem as possible anymore.
Yeah,
Um,
you
yeah,
make a good. I agree.
so I picked another one for the stats, and Silo says this. Um, she mostly disagrees. She or he, I'm not sure, but they mostly disagree with the ideas above. I'll read the comment above that they were referring to. This is not the Isle. If you want to one-shot dinos as the apex, play that. I do not agree, though, that in a situation that a Spino gets a jump on a little guy, maybe implement a cripple or a better bleed so that they will either die if they run too far or crippled so they can't run at all. I get how annoying it can be to put in work to get an awesome jump on someone just to get nothing out of it, but I really don't want this to turn into the Isle 2.0. Apexes are a problem in those games. That's all people want to play, really. I'm all for dueling aspect of this game and actually having a stat-oriented combat system, not just I'm bigger than you, so you die. Uh, this game is on the right track, but it needs some adjustments. Obviously, it is early access. Um, I disagree with pretty much everything this individual said. Um, uh, the "I'm bigger than you, so you die" is nature most of the time. Obviously, you can make some arguments. Like a wolverine can take down an elk by itself, which is considerably larger than itself. But um, Apex
Those are
is
the exceptions, not the rule. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So a Spino should absolutely be able to hit a Campto or a Struthy once and just kill it. No matter where it hits it.
Yeah.
So
Because you're
like
stupid if you're hanging around something that big. It's almost impossible for something that big to sneak up on you. And if they did, they deserve
you're
that shot. Sorry.
yeah, yeah, they do. So a Sarco should absolutely one shot a Campto or a Struthy or a Dino or a Latin, any of them smaller ones. So
And this
one
brings
shots should be a thing.
Yeah, and this brings up something that we've kind of noticed about Path of Titans. It seems like a lot of the people, they're like to Care Bear, which is what people have been calling it, and mix pack and just hang out and talk and not really play survival. It's possible these people have such resentment for the Isle because they played the Isle and didn't like that play style of, hunting each other and being hunted, because they like just hanging out with their friends. And I mean, cool, if you have your own play style, that's one thing, but you shouldn't get angry when you're playing as something significantly smaller than anything else, and yeah, you can die easily. That's it just makes sense. I don't
Yeah, I don't know. So a lot of these people, like she says, they have a resentment for the Isle because the Isle players typically, at least on the servers we played on anyway, we played on Ashura most of the time.
no rules
Yeah,
saver.
no rules. Everybody was always aiming for that next kill because that's the most exciting part of the game. I don't care who you are. Fighting is the most exciting part of any dinosaur game.
Yep.
Um, I don't care how much food or how fancy the water is. that uh, the fighting aspect is should be the priority um, for the game and making sure that aspect is good and operating
Run
properly.
away.
So the comment above hers, I'll go ahead and read that to you as well. They said some of the creatures feel horribly unbalanced right now. I get that the devs don't want combat to be unfair, but if a Spino manages to ambush a Campto and bite it, the Campto should die, which is true. Not get to run off the damage and then come back to harass the Spino with the knowledge that they can survive one bite, so it doesn't have to be afraid. Um, that's completely true, like what we said earlier. Something so much bigger than a Campto.
Like a Campto's the size of a Spino's foot,
Yeah, yeah, there
and for
isn't.
it to be able to just boldly run up and keep biting and attacking and being a
Hmm.
nuisance,
Yeah. Um,
that's obnoxious.
so if something as big as a Spino or a Suko manages to sneak up on a much smaller creature and bite it, it should die. Since it was one of the smaller one's fault for not being wary or not paying attention, it would
I
make
would
players.
argue I would argue it even ruins immersion.
Yeah, 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 it does, and it would make players learn to be more wary and reward smart hunting. But since Camptos and Stroofies are unnecessarily tanky, they can just go up to they can just go, "Oh, I'm being attacked. LOL, goodbye," and run off, and you'll never catch them. I also don't think that I have to explain what's wrong with Cerato, Stego, etc.
Yeah, yeah,
So
they didn't.
yeah, they didn't go
Yeah,
into that.
on that subject, I don't think apexes would be a problem on Path of Titans with how slow they are. Like no one's going to want to stay on that for forever. There's only so many water sources that a Sarco can hide. If they're easy enough to avoid if you stick to streams instead of ponds. There's streams that are shallow and nothing can hide in them. You can safely drink all over the map at once they fix the water system, but the depletion, the water depletion. But
Yeah,
I don't think that apexes will ever be a problem, as in like people only playing apexes. I don't think that'll be a problem
yeah, I don't
because
think
people, yeah,
that's what she said about people only wanting to play Apexes was blatantly wrong anyway. I hated playing Apexes most of the time because A, they're slow, B, they take forever to grow.
hmm
And they are tanky and powerful, but it's just not a rewarding playstyle for myself. And a lot of other people feel the same way. A lot of people would rather play something that's faster and does a lot of damage, or different things like that.
and the devs actually like addressed that in the dev Q&A. They were talking about how like something that big and lumbering is going to be significantly slower, so it's really balanced out. No one's going to just gravitate to apexes. It's not going to be the domineering thing on the map that
Yeah,
people are playing.
yeah. So one question I have would be, so with the quest growth related system that they're going to put in, are the Apexes going to have to do more quests than the smaller dinosaurs to be able to grow?
I do not know.
Yeah, I'm curious to see, what more comes out about that whole system that they have planned.
Mhm. I agree.
So, that's pretty much all we have for our first bar talk.
Yep.
Like I say, we plan on doing more videos, not necessarily podcasts, but more like gameplay style. Obviously we'll do hunting videos and just videos of us growing. Some people like to just relax and kill time, watch somebody grow a dinosaur for some reason. And
We get
um,
into some funny situations though.
we do. Yeah,
We
us
have
and
a
our
good
friends.
time.
We do. We have we have Acros and Tanatos, both waiting for us to record. So we'll be
Yep.
putting those up, sometime and getting them videos. Uh, so if you wouldn't mind letting us know how we did in the comments, make sure you leave a like and comment and subscribe. We're gonna
Let us
cover,
know what else you want to see too.
yeah. So we'll do this bi-weekly. We'll have it talk about Path of Titans or the Isle or both. And if there's any updates between the 2 weeks, which hopefully there will be, so we can talk about something different, and it won't be so long. Because Path of
Yeah,
Titans was pretty good about getting updates out. So I don't know if they've been working on something larger that's taking a longer time here lately. But
maybe probably AI.
yeah, and the AI I'm sure isn't a easy thing to make
Yeah,
because you got to make it smart and
hopefully.
make hopefully
Not run in circles like in Legacy Isle,
like have an AI have an Ava just
perpetually running in circles.
yep. Alrighty. So, like I said, that'll be it for today. It's a pleasure having y'all with us, and make sure you let us know. In the description, we have all of our information if you wanted to reach out to us, share your opinion, and we'd love to let people know on the next bar talk that we have what you told us, and we'll definitely rebuttal. Like if you disagree with us, we'll explain our point of view, and then we'll read yours, and
Yeah,
yeah.
so
So
come back
we're
to the
definitely
Dino Bars.
yeah, so come back to the Dino Bar, and we will see y'all in the next one.
Bye.